So what's up, guys? As you can see, I'm out at Coeur d'Alene Park, and I want to talk about something that's really interesting today, really important, and that is the plastics in the food and in the environment. Now, I know people are aware that this is going on, but I want to talk about it from a little bit of a different angle and how it pertains to some of the societal things that we're seeing these days as well. So I think you're going to like this, so make sure you stick around till the end, and if you like this, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and all that good stuff. Like the video. Anyway, so I remember reading about this years ago. I mean, I was well ahead of the curve with nutrition. I was kind of looking into this stuff about 15 years ago. Things called phytoestrogens. People are a little bit more aware of these things now. Microplastics that are in food that leach into the water, that get into your bloodstream, etc., cause all types of problems. And I'll talk about that too. And also the solutions, of course. But I had an interesting theory that I feel like I'm starting to see come to fruition. Now, this video is not meant to be about any of the LGBTQT stuff or anything like that. It's really not. But I noticed something about 15 years ago when I was reading about these phytoestrogens. What they are estrogen mimickers. A lot of you guys probably are aware of those. Basically, they're not the same thing as a human estrogen, but they attach to the same receptors. And what that can do is actually disrupt, because even men are supposed to have estrogen in some amounts. I'm not going to go into that here. I'm not really an expert on that particular idea, but what happens is when things attach to receptors, they block the normal hormone from actually attaching to that receptor in your body. And what can end up happening is, obviously, not only does it mess with your body by acting in that receptor, but it blocks what your body's supposed to be doing with the natural hormone, like I was just saying. And so I had a theory, and I was noticing this because I'm a noticer. And as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. I hope it's not too windy. I should be able to hear me out just fine out here. But I was noticing, just like, it seemed like you could see the demasculization of men. Men were becoming smaller and frailer a lot of times. Now, don't get me wrong, there's tons of obesity, but I'm talking about younger guys, because a lot of people stay skinny until they get into their 20s, 30s, and then that's when they all let it go. But I was just talking about I would see these relationships where the guy would be like short and skinny and frail. I mean, I hate to say it, but just kind of frail and skinny. They're kind of like malnourished. And then their girl, I'm assuming their girlfriend, the girl they're with, is like several inches taller than them and a lot more muscular. So not only were we seeing the demasculization of men, but we're also seeing, because of kind of the same effect, blocking the estrogen receptors in females, is the masculization of women. Now, if you look at current society, I would say, and I'm not here to judge again, but I'm saying it's getting worse. And the reason I say that is because as a society, I don't think it's a positive thing for there to be more and more sexually confused people. And I don't think it's ever a positive for a society in general for men to be feminized in any way, shape, or form. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have feminine characteristics, because a lot character types, archetypes, so to speak, right? Like, not everyone's going to be like the warrior leader type of archetype. There's also the lover, the artist, people like that can still be masculine, but just have different types of interests. And I'm again, like, I can't paint. I'm not good at art. I can't draw. I can't paint. I never really had an inkling to. I was just more of an athletic kind of physical guy, right? But we still obviously, like, just because you're an artist, that does not mean that you're like, you might be more in touch with your feminine side. And that's a whole nother topic of concern, or of not concern, but a topic for another video. But I'm talking about the physical demasculization of men, the attribution of lower testosterone levels than they would have had normally, higher estrogen levels, lower muscle mass, and all the things that we see this day and age. And people used to ask me I'm like winding around a long way to say what I meant to say, which is that people, I would tell people, I go, I think it's the food. This was like damn nearing about 20 years ago. I'd tell people, I think it's the food. I think it's the food and the stuff in the water. And I mean, there's more to it than that, because the fluoride in the water, and I mean, it's all of these things. It's not just these phytoestrogens. It's also like pesticides and things like that. Also pharmaceuticals that are in the water. A lot of these things can act on, I'm targeting males because I am a male and I want to help men particularly. But these things, even certain like, I guess, insecticides and herbicides and all types of sides, sprays, chemicals, etc., those can also lower testosterone levels and inhibit hormones. And other ways, like there's other things going on, like disruption of sleep patterns that lowers all these things are lowering testosterone levels, lowering sperm counts as well too. So you got fertility issues. That's another topic. But I want to talk about, so that's a different angle. That's kind of the purpose of the video though, is like, I think it's a big reason why we're seeing a lot of this stuff. And like, I don't think it's not a natural, a natural, like, offshoot of society. Like I've heard a lot of people, we're in like the fourth turning, the 250-year cycle of the United States, which is when most empires decline. We are in decline. Whether we will decline or we'll come back strong is another topic. But I've heard a lot of people, compare it to Rome and how, oh, well, there was a lot of, I'm not even going to use the terms, but you know what I mean? There was a lot of men/women characters, if you get what I'm saying, low testosterone, men liking men. I don't want to get my video flagged on YouTube. Channel's not big enough for that yet. But if you see what I'm saying, like, so they people think it's normal. Like I think that a lot of society thinks that there's a lot of these people out there that are just like, again, like the news shoves it down our throat, like, oh, they're everywhere and they're just like being like shunned, and they're bullied and they're afraid to come out of the closet or whatever. I disagree. I stand firmly with my hypothesis that basically it's the food. So I want to talk about ways that you can avoid some common sense ways that you can avoid these phytoestrogens. Now, one thing I do want to touch on first. This is a topic of, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. I am biased about this a little bit, and that is soy protein, right? Now, I've heard some people that say you should not consume any soy at all. I tend to disagree. I think that if you have a quality, like I have a soy protein isolate, it's not my main source of protein. I maybe have about 20 to 25 grams a day, maybe. I really like the flavor of it. It's the stuff, it's part of the nutrition brand that I represent. And I have whey protein and other sources too, and pea protein and all types of stuff. But I don't think a little bit of soy protein, especially if you like edamame and stuff like that, like soy sauce, it's not going to, I don't think that's going to really affect you. What is bad is really highly processed soy and soybean oils. So like the whole seed oil thing, like highly processed soy, I think is a problem. I don't think like most of your protein should come from soy, but a little bit here and there is not going to, people make a mountain out of a molehill. But highly processed, what am I saying? Like processed soybean oil should be avoided, just like any other seed oil. Again, it's like quality corn is not that big of a deal. Organic corn is a staple in a lot of diets, a lot of countries around the world as a staple, especially third world countries. But I mean, if you don't want corn oil, because that's not a very good source of oil. Like seed oils, seeds are not good sources of oil. That's why I have to process them so much, and that is where the problems occur because of the processing, and that's why they use them in the first place. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Here's solutions. So one of the first things you can do is I recommend everyone get a Berkey water filter. Now, they were under attack recently, some kind of lawsuit. I'm not really sure what happened with that, but essentially, I'm not sure if they're able to sell their product anymore. It was some kind of labeling law. But I have a Berkey water filter, and the reason I recommend Berkey is because they remove cheap water filters, like the stuff you buy at Walmart for like $30. They might remove like chlorine, but this particular water filter removes like everything you could imagine. And there's actually even fluoride filters that you can buy for it separately. This thing's intense. You can taste the difference in the water. It removes all contaminants. It removes chlorine. It's going to remove what else? Chlorine, pharmaceuticals, any type of chemicals. Again, like I was talking about, herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, things like that. But also plastics, because microplastics may be small, but they're still relatively large in the scheme of things. So that kind of a water filter, you can get them in varying sizes. So like I have a small one that I can travel with. It's really nice because when I travel, I can literally fill it up in like a river or stream and not have to worry about getting sick. Really, guys? But I don't have to worry about getting bacteria or anything like that. That's why I really recommend the Travel Berkey as well. But so the Berkey water filter is kind of step one, because water is something that is highly contaminated, not just by plastics, but by glyphosate as well. All types of things. And again, pharmaceutical drugs is one of the main concerns of mine. There's antibiotics. All this stuff that people are consuming, all of these pharmaceutical drugs, a lot of times go unprocessed through the urine and defecation, etc., into the sewer is what I'm saying, and they don't break down easily. They get into the water supply, and I mean, you're not going to know if you're drinking them. They're in such minute amounts, but they add up over time. So the Berkey water filter is one thing. Second is a common sense one, which is get rid of your plastics. I mean, it can seem like you're doing a good job, but if you really take a good hard look around, one of the best things I did was when I started cleaning up my cosmetics. First of all, I was cleaning up my toothpaste, going with fluoride-free toothpaste. Got rid of my I got aluminum-free deodorant, things like that. But some of these are still in plastic containers, by the way. So I'm kind of going off on a tangent. But I also noticed that I had a lot of spray bottles, for Windex and stuff like that, chemical cleaners. They're all in plastic water bottle. I mean, all that stuff adds up. Just strictly handling it, especially bottled water. You should strive to use glass if you can. I know that's difficult. A lot of these things are kind of difficult, but you have to find a way. You can buy glass, or even I would recommend metal, if you can. It's better than nothing. But I have a lot of canteens, stuff like that. But you shouldn't really use plastic water bottles. And the worst type of plastic, you can tell the ones that are really high in BPAs, because they'll be the ones that really crinkle up really easily, like your normal little water bottle, right? Like your little spring water that you buy at the gas station. You can crumple that thing up in your hand. That's the type of plastic that really breaks down quickly. Whereas if you get a Nalgene bottle, which is a lot more rock hard, that's a better solution down the line. And you'll notice, because if you leave these things out in the sun over time, and you keep I don't recommend it, but if you keep using that little plastic water bottle over and over, eventually you'll see it start to wear away physically, especially if it's out in the sun where the sun reacts to it. So get rid of those. Also, get rid of your plastic. The black spatulas are becoming a thing, though. Get rid of your black plastic spatula. Get rid of your non-stick pans. Go to metal. If you can, Teflon pans, get rid of those. There's a lot of different ways. I don't want to go into every single thing, but if you look through your house and you look through your lifestyle, you will find absolutely massive amounts of plastics that you can get rid of yourself. And so obviously, if you don't buy junk food at the gas station, for instance, like Cheetos in that plastic bag, or the aluminum coated plastic bag, it's really everywhere. But what I wanted to leave you guys with this, right? It's all little details that add up. People oftentimes with diseases, I found, they just kind of think it's part of life, right? They're like, oh, well, everyone gets X, Y, or Z. I don't want to name specific ones. Again, I don't want to get the channel get flagged by using the C word. But people get autoimmune conditions and all types of weird diseases, generally when they're older, right? And let's be honest, it's because it's been happening over time for longer and longer and longer periods. Whereas some people I know, they're 75 years old and they're, fit as a fiddle, never get sick. And so these little details are what add up. It's the little details with health in general that add up. The habits, just like anything else in life, just like business, like you have to do the basics. It's like working out every day. It's like you can't just do it like twice. It's like taking a multivitamin, for instance. People will be like, why is that multivitamin doing anything? Well, like this 1 or 2 or 5 of them? No, nothing. But look how many of these I've consumed by the end of the year. It's basically like a small bucket of multivitamins, quality multivitamins, by the way. You got to look for quality. And, that's a lot of nutrition, right? Like, it's like these things add up over time. And so like all these little plastics, they will actually like store in your body. That's one of the things. Your body's very smart. It's not smart for storing the plastic, but it knows it's there and it's not supposed to be there. It's in the bloodstream. And so instead of like letting it travel around and mess with your body, it will attempt to store it in fat as well. So it'll put it in, like, I always term like fat is not just like a excess calorie store or carbohydrates. It's also like a prison for different exogenous particles that aren't supposed to be in there, whether it be heavy metals or plastics in this case, right? So taking these small steps, and over time you will notice all types of things. Like when I really started to clean up all the little, and I'm not perfect by any means, but like when I the things that I'm around every day, I noticed better mental clarity, better energy, better sleep, better workouts. My skin was better. Everything got better. I didn't get sick as much. And the reason you don't get those little cough and cold and stuff is because your body doesn't constantly have to detox all this stuff. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to do that quick or somewhat quick video. Not much more to say on the topic, but leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about these plastics. If you got anything to add, sparking the conversation is the best way to help each other out in these weird times that are coming up and that we're already in. And so, again, you can contact me via email if you got any questions about nutrition plans or anything like that. I do personal coaching. I will see you guys in the next video.